Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. For all practical purposes, the Indians' season ended last night as they lost to Chicago's White Sox. Tampa Bay and Oakland won their games. The Indians will try it again tonight in Chicago while the Rays have the night off. It seems like it's going to take a miracle for the Indians to overcome the Rays and or the A's to have this season continue into next week. Then again, they've been pulling off miracles all year long, and maybe they've got one more left. But this time they'll need some help from a loss or two to Oakland and Tampa Bay. It seems impossible to have over 95 wins and still sit home in October, but then again, somebody in the American League is going to do just that. We've got Dan-labbe here tonight. We'll talk Browns. More Sports and Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Thursday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine into our 24th consecutive year and seen exclusively on cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer, which is where we found Dan-labbe today, out in the lobby reading cleveland.com.
Something like that, yeah.
Do you read your stuff just to make sure it's spelled right?
I try not to. I don't want to look back on it. I just want to write it and make somebody else read it.
Yeah, I've told somebody that we're in our 24th year and I've never seen a replay, even though we run them all the time. Well, I saw one replay. I thought maybe one guest accidentally said something he shouldn't have, and I wanted to make sure it didn't get out on the air.
I listen to interviews that I go to transcribe, and I hate hearing my own voice.
Is that
during
right?
The interview. So I apologize to all the viewers out there
for the next hour.
Yeah, for the next hour.
Dan-labbe doing a great job covering the Cleveland Browns. Any drama today out there in Berea?
It was
Gotta
quiet.
Have drama.
All was quiet today. It was sort of strange. We heard from an offensive lineman. We heard from a couple defensive guys. It was a pretty quiet day all around, considering everything that's been swirling.
Has Freddie-Kitchens, by all accounts, a very likable guy, and couldn't have been nicer to me when I interviewed him. Is the honeymoon over already?
I think it might be.
That's even quicker than Hugh Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, I think this start and the fact that it's been the offense, I think. You know, people aren't turning on him, but I think they're finding some of the gimmicks that we all found in training camp to be funny and all of that stuff.
Not so funny.
I think those jokes don't land as well when you're 1 and 2.
Here's the biggest mystery to me, and I don't want to write off Freddie-Kitchens or anybody else at this point. Did the Browns hierarchy, who made the decision to have Freddie-Kitchens A, be the head coach, and B, be the offensive coordinator and play caller?
I mean, this
John
has
Dorsey?
John Dorsey's fingerprints all over it. And that was sort of the theme of the press conference when they introduced him. It was John Dorsey that was up there, not the Haslams. You know, the Haslams were certainly sold on him, or at least that's what they've said publicly.
Right.
But this is John Dorsey's hire.
Yeah, the Haslams are sitting out in the audience at the time. when.
Yeah, exactly. They were sitting in like the first or second row, and it was John Dorsey up there.
I don't know that it seems like vintage John Dorsey, because you see, to call plays and be the head coach, I think you have to earn it. And I don't think, even though Dorsey hired him to be the head coach, I don't think he feels that Freddie-Kitchens has earned that right yet. Not many coaches do it.
Yeah, but also to hear John Dorsey talk about it, you know, he talked about seeing something in Freddie-Kitchens.
Right.
And, you know, he harkened back to, of all things, the 4th preseason game last year when he got to call plays, and he talked about play calling being an art. And that's, you know, when he started to talk about stuff like that, that's when I started to think, well, maybe he really likes Freddie-Kitchens and wants to hire him. And, you know, he had Andy Reid in Kansas City,
right.
You know, a more accomplished guy when he got to the Chiefs,
Sure.
and they both came in together. And Andy Reid is a guy that is the head coach and calls his own plays. But again, Andy Reid's been doing it for a long time. Freddie-Kitchens was an offensive coordinator for the first time halfway through last season.
Halfway through the season, no question about it. By the way, our first segment of More Sports and Les Levine brought to you by the Ohio Lottery, and we'll tell you about how you can win lots of money with the Ohio Lottery today or any day. Let's turn our attention to baseball for a minute. Can we do that?
Sure.
On your football night, can we do that?
Why not?
Did the season end last night?
It's close.
Yeah.
I mean, you said it in the open. They're going to need a miracle. They're going to need to probably win out and then they're going to need a lot of help to
win
get
out
it done.
and get help.
Yeah,
that's not a good combination.
No, it's never good, especially when you just lost to the White Sox.
Yeah, let's take a look at the wild card race right now and see what's going on. Athletics have the lead for the #1 spot at 95-63, and the Rays right behind them. The Indians struggling here. Now the Rays don't play tonight, so it'll even up on the all-important loss column. The Indians have one more against Chicago tonight, then 3 in Washington, D.C. without a DH. The Rays have the Blue Jays. That's a three-game series to finish off the season. And then the Oakland A's have the Mariners for 4. So I don't like the chances.
Yeah, I guess if you're the Indians, you just got to hope that those hands are squeezing the bats a little tighter for those other teams, and maybe you can call on a little bit of experience that this team has.
Yeah,
in these races.
I saw the end of the Minnesota game which they won, and they won the division. It's never over till it's. I hate to use Yogi Berra. You can have a 4-game lead and still, you're right. You squeeze the handle a little bit more.
Yeah, and I mean the stakes are so high right now too. Yeah. Obviously Minnesota is clinched already, so they're good to go. But for the Rays and the A's, it's it gets tough.
I remember in 1995 when the Indians had the unbelievable team, and they had a 28-game lead over everybody, and going into down the stretch in September, and they're playing in the game that would clinch it. And Jim Thome's playing third base, and there's a popper, 2 outs, popper in the foul territory, easy popper, and I'm going, how is the wind going to all of a sudden blow this ball out of the range of Thome, and then they lose 28 games in a row?
Yeah, right. It's like in the DNA of Cleveland sports, and especially back then with Indians fans when nothing good ever happened to that team.
All right, let's take a look at the standings then for what's going on as far as the Indians are concerned. Or maybe we've done that already. I guess we've done that already. All right, 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Dan-Labbe is here. And, all right, so I asked you if anything exciting happened at Browns camp. Is just showing up a normalcy kind of a day now?
I guess so. It was just one of those days where, we heard from Odell yesterday and Baker yesterday. And, today it was Jarvis Landry. He was probably the headlining guy that we heard from. But it was just sort of a day to get ready for the Ravens.
I want to go back to what I said about freddie-kitchens. It seems to me, I mean, there's still optimism out there, but it seems to me that there's always been, over the last 20-some years since the Browns came back, there's been either a signature moment or a signature game where a coach will say, oh, now I see why you can't get it done in Cleveland. We didn't have that with Freddie-Kitchens yet, but are you detecting that he's getting a little rough around the edges?
I don't know if he is quite yet. I think he's been a little bit different this week, but he's still in a lot of ways been the same Freddie-Kitchens. But this thing can go either way at this point, and I think he has to understand that.
Yeah, and it could go either way right now against a good Baltimore team.
Yeah, exactly. The thing the Browns have going for them is if they win Sunday, September is basically saved because now you're in first place in the AFC North. Yeah. Everything is kind of forgotten that's happened since then. But if they lose, now you're 1-3, and now you're 2 games behind the Ravens already.
Right. Plus, if you win, Pittsburgh is still in trouble, and so is Cincinnati. So it's almost a 2-horse race, even though it's very early in the season.
Yeah, and it makes October a little easier to stomach too, because now you can struggle a little bit when you got the Patriots on the schedule and Seattle coming to town. You maybe only have to go. You don't want to go like 1-3 in those 4 games,
but
you can survive that if you do.
Second half of the season gets easier.
Exactly.
216-575-0403. You can email us during the show at the real Les Levine at gmail.com. Dan-Labbe is here, covers the Cleveland Browns for the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. Did you know that there are over 130,000 winners of Ohio Lottery pick games each and every month? With that amount of winning, why not try Pick 3, Pick 4, or Pick 5 for chances to win up to $500, $5,000, or even $50,000 a day from the Ohio Lottery? You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine with new contests or contents posted each and every day. You get your name, maybe your picture, and we'll discuss what you have to say as we check out our Facebook questions of the day. Let's take a break. Dan-Labbe is with us. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
I would say really breaking them down, pulling back the layers, different personnel groups, you're going to get all of it, but it's really all the same. It's just bodies in there, but the illusion, they run the same thing with 13 personnel that they do out of 11, and that's where they try to get you a little bit with the window dressing, but it's all the same. It's, you know, it's a college offense. It's really what he did at Louisville. You know, and those kind of things. And Greg Roman, his background with Kaepernick when he was at the 49ers. So whenever you have an element of the quarterback being able to run the ball, it just adds an extra blocker. You know, that's what it does. So we're preparing well for it. We've seen that offense before, so I'm very excited about going against the offense. I'm very pleased where we are right now with our game plan.
If he is.
Well, yeah, I think so. I mean, there's a reason who's taken in the first round. He's been so productive since he's been in the league. I mean, if you could find guys like that everywhere, I mean, you know, maybe it wouldn't be such a phenomenon. But yeah, it's hard to replicate what he does in practice, and you don't really get the speed of it until you actually get in the game. And I think the guys that are here realizes that from last year. And you know, he's a tremendous challenge to handle, and especially now that he's throwing the ball better.
Freddie-Kitchens there. This portion of More Sports and Les-Levine brought to you by Northeast Factory Direct with the big garage sale going on right now. You think Freddie-Kitchens is feeling pressure? There's always pressure in that job, but do you think he's feeling it right now?
I don't know how much he's feeling in the moment right now. I think he understands what's on the line going into this Ravens game, and I do think he is certainly, if they lose against the Ravens, he's going to start to feel that pressure that you're talking about. I think right now, you know, his message has been, we're not going to panic, and I think he's exuded that as we've gone through the week. But he also knows what's on the line this Sunday.
When is he allowed to panic?
Well, when he gets called into Jimmy Haslam's office is a good time to panic.
Mr. Haslam and Mrs. Haslam would like to see you first thing in the morning. It's unfortunate. First game, that was horrible, all those penalties and everything else. Second game, they won about the way they should have. Third game, it's concerning that they were in position to win, even though, listen, Los Angeles is a Super Bowl team. They're terrific, but you had them at home, and you had them at the ball at the 9-yard or 4-yard line, and you got to put that game away.
I think that's the most disappointing thing. I think some fans came away feeling like, hey, you lost by 7 to the defending NFC champ.
Yeah, no, that's not good enough.
But to me, I'm watching that game and I'm thinking, they've got chance after chance to win this game. And like you mentioned, they got down to the 4-yard line with 4 chances to try and tie it, or even maybe win it on a 2-point try, and they couldn't take advantage.
I want to ask you about that, but they had the perfect setup. They had the full complement of timeouts. They had the ball at the 4-yard, first and goal at the 4. You don't even want to score on the first play, actually.
Yeah, you'd like to maybe take as much time as you can,
Yeah.
which I guess they did, but unfortunately they didn't finish.
Yeah. You had mentioned going for 2. Would you have gone for 2? If they, I mean, Al Michaels said when they got the ball on the play that down to the 4-yard line, immediately says, "Chris, when they score, would you go for 2?"
Yeah.
Collinsworth said, "No. My theory is that if your team is not as good as the other, and I don't think Cleveland is as good as LA right now, that I think because if they get the ball first, they're going to win. I think that factors into it. So I would have gone for it because I don't know that they could have had a sustained drive."
I'd love to disagree with you, but I can't. I would have too. That
Of course,
Rams
you can
defense,
get yourself fired for it.
yeah. But that Rams defense is so good. Even if you start with the ball, maybe the best you're going to do is kick a field goal, and then if the Rams
That's
get the
not
ball
good
and a
enough.
chance to win. I always like the idea of if you've got the ball at the 2-yard line and the game is in your hands, you either score and win or you
got
don't
to have
and
a play
lose.
that goes 2 yards, right?
Yeah, well, you would think that, but we saw what happened
I mean,
inside at the 4.
Wouldn't you think that every coach has one play in mind that if it ever comes down to winning the game?
I would hope so. And you look at some of these teams like Kansas City. I don't know why Kansas City ever kicks an extra point with all that talent.
Right.
You would think they could do better than 50% on 2-point tries,
Right.
which is all you need to do. So the Browns have the talent to really cause problems going for 2, and I think they would have in
How
that
about
situation.
the fact that of all the things we're upset with or we're concerned with, the field goal kicking and punting is not one of them, or
Yeah.
not 2 of them.
Yeah, Jamie Gillen had one bad punt the other night,
Yeah,
and it was kind of a shock. They've done a great job on special teams and special teams coverage too.
So let's go back to Freddie-Kitchens. Would he have gone for 2?
He didn't want to say. He didn't want to say the other
I'll
day.
tell you
But
what.
his answer, when I listened to his answer, it sure sounded like a guy that would have gone for 2.
Yeah, I think he would have gone for 2, but if he felt more secure in his job, because you got to answer to the owners, you got to answer to a lot of people if it doesn't work.
Yeah, and he's been surprisingly conservative, I've thought,
Yeah.
when it's come to maybe going for it and going for 2 points. But
Right.
I think in that situation, and again, he really danced around it. He didn't want to say the other day, but it really sounded like a guy that would have seriously considered going for 2.
The last week of training camp, I had him on radio, and and he had said something about a player has to prove themselves by doing such and such. And I said, "You're a new head coach. Do you have to prove yourself to your team?" And he said, "Oh, absolutely not. I'm very confident in my situation here." But you know what? The players watch. The players listen. If they lose confidence in the coach, that can't be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, players know. And the reality is, it's sometimes a lot easier to fire a coach than it is to get rid
sure.
of a player.
But I can't believe they
especially
fire-
at the top of a roster.
I can't believe that Jimmy Haslam would fire him this year.
It would have to be a disaster. I mean, it would have to reach not just a disaster record-wise, but they would
epic
have to look
proportions.
inside that building and just see everything
Yeah.
be a mess. That would.
I mean, to
That's
think
what it
Hugh
would
Jackson lasted 2 years and maybe
and
Freddie
survived
won't-
0-16
and survived
somehow.
0-16. It doesn't get worse than that. 216-575-0403. I've been telling you about Northeast Factory Direct for several weeks right now. They started in a garage 20 years ago, one unit, one dining room table, I believe it was, and that they sold out of the Euclid garage. And now they're celebrating 20 years of a great business model with a garage sale at all 3 of their great locations. They've got them east, west, as well as south. The south, the new one in Macedonia on Freeway Drive, or go to northeastfactorydirect.com for more information. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. Catch the excitement of live harness racing in October, coming up on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, and now Sunday evening. And post time is 6 p.m. Monday through Wednesday, Saturday and Sunday. Post time 6:40. Open early every day for simulcast action from the great courses, tracks all over the world. That's at Northfield Park, where it's free admission, free parking every day. We'll take a break. We'll come back in a moment. Dan-Labbe is with us. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
We had a horrible storm that flooded our basement,
We had to take out that nasty moldy carpet.
and we never want to have to go through that again. That's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of September and save up to half off. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
Winning enough for a new Saturday morning ritual. That feels like a million. Play the newest instance from the Ohio Lottery.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen, for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Talks a lot about being doubled all the time on almost every single play. And what's the challenge for you in trying to overcome that, work around that, and not let that?
Well, teams are aware when you have a dynamic receiver. You know, we had Mike Evans in Tampa, and teams are aware of their skill set, so they're going to scheme towards that, either hint to safety or cloud to a particular player. So you've got to be able to find ways to get him the ball, at times move him around, at times schematically against certain coverages, even when they cloud, that allows you to get him the ball. And then there's more times than you'd think where he's singled up, and we've got to find a way to get him the ball, and that's what you try to do. Sometimes it's he's singled up, you're running the football. Sometimes it's a situational thing. So, but obviously when you have a really good player, you're trying to get him the football. That's obvious.
Todd Monken is the offensive coordinator in name for the Cleveland Browns. I suggest that if they're going to make a change, they should do it after a win, rather than make it look like it's frustration and they're just blowing everybody up.
Maybe. Zig. You got to zig when everybody expects you to zag.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Dan-Labbe, covering the Browns for cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer. You talk about attitude and all, and what players know and what they don't know. Do you sense a different vibe out there this week?
I don't. I sense a team that, again, they understand the situation, they understand the game they're going into, but I think this is still a confident team. This is a team that hasn't really backed down despite the start. I just haven't caught anything that's made me believe this team has lost any confidence that they can still get where they want to get to if they can go out and win on Sunday.
Right. All right, this may surprise you, but I've never been a quarterback coach in the NFL.
I didn't realize
nor
that.
have I been a head coach. So this is going to surprise you.
This is new information.
New information. It's not on my bio. But when I do look at Baker-Mayfield right now, I see a guy throwing off his back foot much more than I don't think I saw him do it at all last year, or not very often. But he's throwing off his back foot, and it seems like he's got happy feet. Tell me if I'm right or wrong.
He's leaving the pocket really quickly.
And going to the right.
Yeah, and there was a play on Sunday where if he could have stepped up in the pocket, and again, this is something easier said than done when you're sitting in the press box watching versus actually being out there. But if he could have stepped up in the pocket and maybe made a play, instead he ran to his right, and there was pressure coming from the right, and he ran basically into a sack. And it's things like that that are a little disconcerting watching Baker Mayfield this year.
So were those of us who said that Beckham and anybody else, that they should have been at practices, they should have been here instead of whatever their other obligations were. Were we barking up the wrong tree, or were we correct?
I think this team would have benefited from having those guys. Yeah, and, in Landry's case, he was hurt through the spring, but he was still there. Beckham, of course, was not there most of the spring,
Right.
And then really unable to practice, do team drills during training camp because of the hip injury. I think that would have helped, but I also think a lot of this might come down to Baker just doesn't trust his offensive line right now, and he's going back, and if he starts to sense even the slightest bit of pressure, he's getting out of there.
Well, you forget he didn't get hit that much last year.
Yeah, he didn't get hit that much. He was getting the ball out quickly. The offense was designed for him to basically get the ball out as quickly as possible.
Right. Instead of sounding like all I do is complain, let me say something nice about them. You had the entire defensive backfield was out, injured, and they had guys that just came in off the street, I think, on Friday, probably had to introduce themselves at lunch, but the defensive backfield played great.
They were fantastic. A lot of that comes from the front, and they were able to create pressure on Jared Goff and get him out of the pocket. But I think what we underestimated a little bit is T.J. Carey has played before. Terrence Mitchell started for this team last year.
Right, it's not like they're rookies.
Yeah, and even at the safety position, they had guys who have started and played before. Now, Justin Burris is a guy they pulled off the street, but he had been in camp with this team, so at least he knew the defense.
Denzel Ward, should we worry about him, injury-wise?
I think we're at a point, as far as him playing Sunday, we've reached a point where him and Greedy Williams not practicing is concerning. The hamstring injury, we haven't seen a string of hamstring injuries with him. That would worry me a little more.
Right, yeah,
if this were another concussion, or if this were another injury where it came with maybe the bad tackling form, something like that, I'd be concerned. But this is the first hamstring injury that I can recall that he's had in the NFL.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And I think if he had a string of them, that's when you start to get worried.
All right, so the encouraging thing about that is if he does play and can't make it, you can feel confident in who they use to replace.
Yeah, because again, you've got T.J. Carey, who plays normally inside, can slide outside. You've got guys that can step in and play.
Tell me about Taki. Everybody loves the name. Can he play, or will he play, or what's his story?
He's got to wait his turn. He was injured to start the season. I believe he's healthy now, but it's Mack Wilson who's playing for Christian Kirksey, and I think Taki's got a little ways to go to learn to play in the NFL. He's a guy that plays downhill. I think he can be a little reckless sometimes, and I just think Mack Wilson fits what they want in that role, replacing Kirksey.
216-575-0403 is the number. Dan-labbe is with us, cleveland.com, and the Plain Dealer. You can explore your interests and find a program that puts you on the path to a bright future with Tri-C. Tri-C offers more than 1,000 courses in over 140 career and technical programs. Go to tric.edu to find out how they can help you get on the path to success. We'll come on back in a moment. 216-575-0403. Dan-labbe with us. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family cool this summer,
let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at 440-449-HEAT.
Birthdays for today: Alexis Dealer, 1947. T.J. Hushmanzada. You'd think with a name that long, all the vowels would be used, but there's no U. Oh, there is a U. There's, what is it? You got all the vowels in there?
I.
No I. There you go. The I man isn't there. Serena Williams, DeQuell Jackson, former Brown. Chris Archer, former Indian, or all in the system, and Jordan Luplow. You think he'll be a former Indian in about a week?
Could be.
Could very well be. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Dan-labbe is with us. You okay? The defense is okay?
I think the defense has been good. The Rams are the best offense they've played so far, and they did a really good job against Sean McVay in that offensive attack. I think the defense is in really good shape, and it starts with the pass rush. Those four guys have lived up to the hype. Even Olivier Vernon, who's not putting up huge numbers, he's getting in the backfield. You see 54, on the screen making plays.
Somebody's doing something.
Yeah, and then Myles Garrett is having a
And
what
about the
season.
system? Steve Wilkes, you happy with that?
Yeah, he's mixed things up with his blitzes. He's bringing guys from the secondary. He's not afraid to bring a linebacker or a corner or somebody from the slot. A safety, Morgan Burnett, has 2 sacks already, so he's not afraid to bring anybody, and I think that's been good for this team.
Have you talked to the players about what that excitement level was the other night at First Energy Stadium? Did they talk about, they've all played elsewhere? Are they all the same places, or did they notice a difference?
I think they noticed it. I haven't talked to anybody specifically. Now, Mack Wilson was starting his first game. I talked to him, and he talked about how exciting it was to run out of that tunnel and hear his name called for the first time in the NFL. So, I asked him, what was it like compared to Alabama? The first time he ran out of the tunnel there. And he said, it felt like the same thing. It was sort of a dream moment for him. So I certainly think they noticed the atmosphere.
The checks were bigger there.
Yeah, they might have been. Yeah, he was only a 5th-round pick, so yeah, I'm sure they were.
Could very well be. I'm just wondering, do they, if you're in the locker room, do they take selfies of themselves in their uniforms for the first time, or do they say, hey Mac, will you take this picture for me?
They do love to take pictures of themselves.
Right.
I've noticed that, seeing them on social media. I don't know how they do it. I guess they do. I've never actually witnessed one being taken.
Yeah, their mothers might say, "Come on, give me a picture."
Yeah, if you're at home, you want to see a photo of your son in his uniform.
I'm wondering if the photos may be banned now after what happened with the Chicago Bears over the weekend.
Yeah, that might cause a problem.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. This portion of More Sports and Less Levine brought to you by Northeast Factory Direct. And they've got 50 sofas at around $399, solid wood bunk sets from $299. There's nothing gimmicky here. There are no gimmicks, no deceiving blowout sales, no typical retail nonsense, just 3 huge bare-bones warehouses filled with the same stuff that you're going to find at the big lot stores. The only difference is going to be half price or even more off of that actual price. The bottom line is nobody's going to touch their everyday savings or their quality. That's Northeast Factory Direct, 3 locations, north, east, west, as well as south. West 140th in Cleveland, the old B&B Appliance Building on Lakeland Boulevard in Euclid. Freeway Drive, that's in Macedonia, or check out everything they have at northeastfactory.com. We'll come back in a moment. Mike and Bernie Sokolowski's the winner of the James Beard Foundation Award almost 4 years ago right now. Bernie told me today, normally we tell people to come on in. I'm going to tell you not to come in tomorrow. Bernie's daughter is getting married. He's can be happier about that. And he's just going to shut down the building, shut down the restaurant for his rehearsal dinner. That's terrific. Congratulations to the Sokolowski family. We'll take a break. We'll come back in a moment with Dan-labbe. More Sports and Less Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
I had an epoxy-based sand paint on my floor that deteriorated, and that's why I called Nature Stone.
Why paint? It's expensive, it's ugly, and it doesn't last. Nature Stone is always affordable. It's beautiful, and with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of September and save up to half off. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
This date in sports history, September 26, 1961, New York Yankee and former Cleveland Indians star Roger Maris ties Babe Ruth's home run record, the 34-year-old record, with his 60th homer. It came off Baltimore's Jack Fisher, and then Maris later would hit number 61 off Tracy Stollard of the Boston Red Sox. Roger didn't play here very long, but he was my favorite player while he was here. I got my own How Come Quickie here, Dan. How come they didn't have a camera person waiting at the top of Mount Everest to prove that Sir Edmund Hillary was the first one to get there? Can you imagine he's coming up, he's crawling up, and there's the cameraman. Come on a little slower here.
I'm here to take your picture.
Smile.
Congratulations, you're number 2.
No, the camera person did not want to take the credit for it. We'll have our quickies later on. Not many in today. I had to put the kibosh on one of them, only because I don't understand it. There's a word in there that I don't know. I think it's, I'll let you know in the next segment. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they're without Ben Roethlisberger. No, we don't know at this point if he'll ever play again, right? That's fair to say.
Yeah, I mean, the latest report is he's supposed to be back in 2020, but who knows?
No, you never know with that, especially at his age. But I'm just wondering if, you know their organization is good. You'd think they are prepared for the next step. But on the other hand, those quarterbacks may not be out there, even though they'll have a very high draft pick. They may be in the same quarterback hell the Browns have been in for as long as we remember.
Yeah, and they took a gamble. They traded their first-round pick for Minkah Fitzpatrick. Right. So even if they do go 3-13 or 4-12 or whatever it is, that pick is going to end up in Miami. So they took a risk. They're rolling the dice on Mason Rudolph and maybe Ben Roethlisberger coming back. But it just speaks to, when you have talented players and when you have a quarterback, you start to lose those guys.
You got to have the quarterback.
It's tough.
What about Cincinnati's situation? I don't know if they're going to win a game or two this year, but at some point they have to make a decision on quarterback also.
Yeah, and I've got to think, this might be the last year of Andy Dalton there. I know that it's sort of been a love-hate relationship in Cincinnati between him and the fans.
Sometimes
they've loved him, other
times
they
haven't. That's a guy who needs a new home.
Yeah, I think it's time for them to move on. They hired a new coach this year. His contract is pretty easy to move on from after this season. I think we'll see a new quarterback there next year.
Wow. Anything surprise you in the NFL so far? Away from the Browns.
Pittsburgh is surprising, I'll tell you that. San Francisco is a team that's 3-0. They've been surprising. Detroit is off to a really nice start.
They didn't look good to me the other day. They won the game. They didn't.
But they're
look
figuring out ways to win.
Yeah.
And I think that matters early in the season. When you figure out ways to win, get to 3-0 like they have. Detroit hasn't lost yet. They tied Arizona, and then they've won their next two. They beat a pretty good Philadelphia team on Sunday. They've been a little bit of a surprise. I think those are the teams that I kind of look at and say, okay. I'm a little shocked.
What did you expect from the Bears? About what you're getting?
Yeah, I think so. Rely on their defense. You hope Mitch Trubisky can do enough to win.
Right.
He looked good against Washington, but I think a lot of people are going to look good against Washington. So, the jury is still out on what that offense is going to be.
In baseball, they always talk about waiting until the 40-game mark before you see what you see or know something about your team. Is that similar in football? Is it 4 games, a quarter mark? What is it?
I think the really good teams hit their stride mid-October into November. Seattle has made a living off of this, right? Getting off to some slow starts and then really playing well late in the season. Sometimes September, especially with the way teams approach the preseason, September is sort of like a preseason for some teams. So a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who is playing on a good Packers team, but he hasn't quite been Aaron Rodgers yet. Now that he's got 3 games under his belt, let's see how he kind of looks moving forward. So, I think the quarter pull is kind of when you really start to look and say, let's assess things and see where we go.
There was a story out today that the NFL owners wanted to go to an 18-game schedule, and now they've given that up, apparently, and may turn to a 17-game one and cut out one exhibition game. Number one, do you think there's any heat to that? Or do you think, to me, from the game standpoint, 16 is the right number.
It feels right, but the owners really want something to happen here. They really want to turn one of those preseason games into a real game.
Right.
And then they want to expand the playoffs too, which would add more playoff games. And I don't think the players are real interested in that. I think, player safety is really important to them, and not playing more games is really important to them. And a 17th game doesn't seem like a lot, but 16 already feels long as the season grinds along.
Yeah, I was going to say they're looking to take something on. Yeah, more insurance payments.
Yeah, exactly. And you open up, more injuries, maybe more meaningless games, which I don't think the NFL
let's think about the fans
needs.
for a minute. If you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan this year, and you're going to add 17 games instead of 16, and you got a team that can't win without Ben Roethlisberger, that doesn't seem like a team an organization that cares about its customers, the fans, or its main commodity, which is the players.
And you've got Miami, who is pretty openly not trying to win this year. They'd be thrilled if they didn't win or only won one game or something like that.
Right.
I think you're seeing more and more of that in the NFL too, which makes adding another game, seem even more like you're going to add more meaningless games to the schedule.
Where does London or Mexico City come into this, if at all?
That's where it gets interesting because the proposal, I believe, included a neutral site game for every team.
Oh.
So you would imagine, I wonder if they would try to move more into London, more into Mexico City.
You'd almost think they'd have one game a week.
Yeah, or maybe they'd pick some cities that don't have the NFL right now because they lost L.A., right? They used to always hold L.A. over everyone's heads to move a team.
Don't have that anymore.
They can't do that anymore.
Well, maybe they can hold over San Diego.
Go back to San Diego or have a game in St. Louis or, I don't know, Oklahoma City is always a city that's in play for these professional teams, it seems like. I wonder if they would look at some of those cities.
They're not making enough money, apparently.
Yeah, I guess not. You got to get new stadiums when you can.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Dan-Labbe with us, cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer. I don't want to put pressure. Well, I guess I do want to put pressure, or I'm going to, whether I want to or not. This is almost a must game against Baltimore.
I think it is.
Only because they're in the same division and the other two teams aren't doing anything.
Yeah, and you don't want to fall more games behind the Ravens because the Ravens are playing really well, even in that one loss against the Chiefs last week. They looked like a team that could compete with the Kansas City Chiefs. So they look like a really good football team and one that's not going to slow down. And the thing is, you can talk about the Browns' easy schedule. The Ravens' schedule isn't that much harder. The only difference is they play the first-place teams from the other AFC divisions, whereas the Browns get to play third-place teams. But 14 games on that schedule are similar to the Browns. So they have some easy spots in their schedule as well.
It's not strange to look at the Browns maybe losing 3 of the next 4 games and still be in the hunt.
It could happen, and that's just the crazy thing about the NFL. It's become so backloaded, and that's that second half of the season. We saw last year, the Browns went to Denver, and they were still in the playoff chase. Now, I think they got eliminated from the result in the game right before the one they played, but going into that week, they were still on the fringe of the playoffs, and they didn't even have a winning record.
You can catch the excitement of live harness racing. That's coming up in the month of October, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. The races on Monday through Wednesday start at 6 p.m. with the post time, and then Saturday and Sunday post time is 6:40. Open early every day for simulcast action all over the world. The weekly Sunday contest featuring Belmont, top prize $500 in cash each week. Ladies Luck Clubhouse open every Saturday with the buffet for just $15.95. Special pricing on premier events. All at Northfield Park, where it's free admission, free parking every day. We're coming back one more time. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
We had a horrible storm that flooded our basement.
We had to take out that nasty moldy carpet.
And we never want to have to go through that again. That's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of September and save up to half off. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Let's check out this date in Les Levine history. Dan, maybe you can help me on this. Quarterback, 1964 quarterback Les Levine facing 4th and 9 at the visitors' 40-yard line is told to run a draw play. He tells his coach there's no way it's going to work. The coach says, don't be ridiculous. Nobody will expect such a ridiculous play call.
You could have been a quarterback coach.
Yeah,
Looks like you had a future there.
I should have run off the field the other day and just run onto the field and say, Coach, you can't go 4th and 8 with the draw play. If you're running the clock down to get a timeout, that gives you 4th and 4. That's not so good either. Wrapping things up for the week, Harry Suitcase Simpson always packed his bags just in case he was traded. Les carried a tube of toothpaste instead. That was a smarter move on my part. We'll get to some how come quickies in a minute. You ready to judge?
I think. I don't know. It's a lot of pressure.
We've had a lot of good ones lately, so not necessarily tonight, but we've had a lot of good ones. So. All right, we've come to the magical moment where you get to pick. You're going to pick for cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer, but we'll give an advanced pick. What are you thinking? It's 7-point underdogs for the game.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking before the show. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to pick. I felt like if I was picking against the spread, I would pick the Browns. I wasn't sure straight up, but I feel like this is a shot to maybe pick the Browns in an upset. I didn't feel comfortable doing it last week against the Rams.
Right.
But I feel like with their backs against the wall, there's been so much chatter nationally. They know what's on the line. I'm going to pick the Browns to win this game. I'm going to say
as we say in the business,
24-21.
a trap game.
Yeah, trap game. Sure, we'll call it that. I'm going to say, I always pick 24 for some reason, so I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to say 24-21.
Oh, go 23, maybe Cypher.
Yeah, there we go, 23-21.
Cypher
I'll give you half credit if that's the final score.
That's okay, I'll take a win. You need some wins. You got about 2 minutes before we get to How Come Quickies, so whatever's on your mind. Have fun. What do you got?
One of my favorite quotes today, asked Steve Wilkes, how do you simulate Lamar Jackson?
Right.
And he said, by playing Madden. He's a really hard quarterback to prepare for, and they've been running receivers out there to kind of prepare for him. I talked to one guy who has been doing that this week, who used to play quarterback in high school, and he's been having fun doing that. So it's a tough thing to simulate in practice.
Well, if you're going to play Madden, play the part where you know what to do when it's 1st and goal at the 4.
Or when it's 4th and 9 at the 40.
I was going to say that one didn't bother me as much, but it bothered me for different reasons. But the 1st and goal at the 4, any 12-year-old kid who plays Madden would know what to do in a situation like that.
Yeah.
With full timeouts left.
You would think so. It's funny. I mean, Madden players seem to have better clock management than real coaches.
There's no question
seems like they should hire some of these e-gamers or something.
Does
and put them in
Paul
the
D.
booth.
Podesta, do they talk to him on a weekly basis?
I don't know.
Does he get involved in game planning at all?
I don't think he's as involved as game planning. I don't know if he ever has been. He's more on the, Jimmy Haslam has said that he's a direct report to him. I think he's more on the bigger picture side of things.
Okay,
and I actually
so that's
think he's
getting people to buy more popcorn?
Yeah, exactly. I think he goes beyond the game day stuff. I think he's doing a lot of organizational stuff.
But the team is known for being analytically inclined.
Yeah, and Freddie does have someone in the booth. I'm blanking on his name, but he played baseball. If it's the guy I'm thinking of, I know it's the guy that maybe Hugh Jackson had up there too. He played baseball in college, and I do believe they have someone in the booth who helps with analytics. But it's up to the head coach ultimately.
You mean a college baseball player got the job over me, who's been campaighning for it for 20 years?
I put in a good word for you.
Everybody I think they're lying.
There.
People tell me they put in a good word. Maybe they're the wrong people. Let me throw a couple of quickies in here. You get to judge these, okay?
Oh boy.
Well, Mr. Gullible says apparently he has a kidney stone, and he says it hurts almost as badly as the 2016 World Series. That's true. That's about like what a kidney stone is. All right, here's Mr. Gullible's contributions today, 2 of them. How come when you cross a snowman with a vampire, you get frostbite?
6.
6?
Yeah.
Wow, you're tough.
It's okay.
You'll like this one better. How come when my dog chased a guy on his bike, I had to take away my dog's bike?
that one gets an 8.
That
I
gets
like
an
that
8.
one.
Yeah, that's well worth it. John Patrick. Wow. How come the man who invented the first clock knew what time it was? That's almost like it's almost like my Sir Edmund Hillary being filmed as he got up to the top. What do you got? It's got to be an 8.5 at least.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 7.
7.
I think the dog one was that good. I can't put it above the dog.
So you grade with the curve.
Yeah.
You're
yeah,
tough.
I do.
You are tough.
And dog content always wins.
We have Bud Shaw was here. There were 2 quickies that had dog references. He gave them way higher grades.
I've always said Bud is a smart guy. I might be the only one who says that, but I have always said that.
All right, so you're predicting a Browns win. Are you predicting the Indians will still be playing Monday?
I'll go the other way on that. I think they need so much help. It's just hard to see them. I could see them taking care of their business and maybe winning out, even though that's a tough ask. But to get the help they need from 2 teams, I think is going to be difficult.
How about winning? If they do what you just said, they'd win. What do they have, 93 wins right now?
93. So you're looking at 97?
You're looking at 97 wins, and you're sitting home in October.
How many did they win the one year under Eric Wedge when they missed the playoffs? 2005? Did they win 94 that year?
I think they did.
And that was the year Grady Sizemore lost the ball in the sun in Kansas City.
That one hurt too, Mr. Gullible. I don't know. I'll tell you what. I think Francona's done a miraculous job no matter what happens this week.
I think, yeah, so if you were to go all the way back in time to March and say, these are the things that are going to happen. Like, you're going to lose Corey Kluber and trade Trevor Bauer and lose Jose Ramirez for a stretch.
And your roster is going to have Hanley Ramirez, and it's going to have Cargo.
Yeah, you're already starting off behind the 8 ball, and now all of these things are going to happen.
And we're bringing up 3 pitchers from Columbus.
Yeah, I think the job he's done, it speaks to what Terry Francona does really well, and that's keep a clubhouse together, keep players engaged, and he seems to work really well in that underdog role.
I heard somebody say that a manager shouldn't say one place too long because the message gets lost, but the reality is the team turns over so much that you're not talking to the same players all the time.
Yeah, I think so. And the Indians are an organization that's always calling young guys up. In Boston, those were a lot of veteran guys there.
Right.
And maybe he lost that team a little bit or lost control of that team a little bit. Yeah, but this is a younger team.
And had better players.
Yes, definitely had better players.
I sensed in maybe May or June that Francona wasn't having fun. Just looked that way. Of course, I'm saying that because I'm watching him in the dugout on TV, so that's not fair either. But it seemed he got rejuvenated somewhere along the line. I think when he brought Mercado up and put him in the second spot, changed the whole offense.
Yeah, and those young guys, I love it when a young guy comes up and he energizes a team, and it does bring something to a team if things start to feel stale like that.
Would you sign Puig for 1 year?
I would think about it. You've got to have that back.
He's not going to have a 3-year offer out there, I don't think.
Yeah, and if he's willing to come back, you almost want to learn from your Michael Brantley mistake.
Right.
If you have a guy in the organization that wants to come back and play for you, and you can do it on a reasonable contract, it's probably worth it.
Do you make any phony offer or real offer to Kipnis? Because he's not going to get big dollars anywhere.
Yeah, I think it's probably time to move on. If it gets to March or whatever, or February, and he still hasn't signed, and maybe you can bring him back for cheap. But I just think it's probably time to move on and see what you can get there.
So by saying that, you're saying that Ramirez would be the second baseman instead of third?
Maybe. You can find a spot for him, and again, maybe he's kind of see what's out there for you in the trade market.
Right.
And if you find a third baseman, you move him to second. If you find a second baseman, keep him at third. You have some options.
Yeah,
there.
I think if you're the front office, you always want to improve your roster. On the other hand, I think the Chicago's not good enough to contend as they are now. So it's you and Minnesota again next year. Find out a way to beat Minnesota.
Yeah, and I think one of the mistakes maybe they made this year is they didn't think Minnesota would be as good.
Did you?
No, I don't think anybody did. And I remember talking to Paul Hoynes about it early in the season.
And they kept winning.
And they just kept winning. And I don't think they expected that. I think they felt like the division was kind of theirs to lose, and it ended up not working that way.
Yeah. So who do you pick to win it all in baseball?
I hate to say the Yankees, but they're really good. Although I'll say
this.
So
is Houston.
I know. The Astros have such good pitching, so I'm going to swerve here. I was about to say the Yankees, but then I remembered the Astros have that pitching, and I think maybe they get it again
the
this
pitching
year.
to go with their great. That lineup is unbelievable. Well, so is New York's if everybody's healthy. So I guess Encarnacion is coming back tonight, I think. So, all right, Dan, we made it through. No, we didn't. I got to kill 2 more minutes. I just noticed that. See, my clock management was terrible.
You and Freddie. You need an analytics guy in the booth.
Call Dee Podesta, see if I can end the show right now.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul, what are you doing? I'd like to talk to that guy. Any beat writers got a hold of him?
He's tough to get to. He's at the games. I see him at the games. I see him every now and again on the road. Yeah. He's usually in the locker room.
Is he in the
after
press
the game,
area?
But I'm trying. I think I saw him in the press area on Sunday. Actually, He's usually around, but he's still a little mysterious. He's tough to find sometimes.
Well, I'm not sure he goes around with a big sign saying I'm Paul Dee Podesta.
No,
I don't think he wants anybody saying hello to him.
But he's a recognizable guy. People know what he looks like.
Yeah.
I think at least if you're in the business, you know what Paul Dee Podesta looks like.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. If you want to credit him with Moneyball, or at least give him partial credit, he changed the game.
He did.
I don't like some of the things he changed it to. But
completely different now. It's played completely differently, and
strikeouts don't mean anything.
League wide now too. It's not just a couple teams.
They all go that way. And the thing that I didn't like, and it kind of started it all, when Rivera was the closer, and they give it to him for. I guess I heard when they were running all those replays from Jacobs Field, it said that when Lamar hit that home run, that was the only time. That was the last time he pitched more than 1 inning.
Oh, really?
In an appearance, yeah. I guess they decided one. So anyway, you got him coming in, and he's a 3-out closer. So everybody does that, but the difference is they don't know how to have Mariano Rivera.
Yeah.
Not everybody has Andrew Miller. When Miller did what he did in 2016, it sounded like a good idea for everybody to do, but it doesn't work because there's only one Andrew Miller.
Yeah, I think people here, because of the way Terry Francona used that bullpen in 2016, they kind of expect that to happen every single year with this team, not just everywhere else, but with this team. And bottom line, I mean, Andrew Miller was great. Cody Allen was great that year. Yeah. You had 2 back-end guys that fit that role perfectly.
Yeah, if you have them, I guess you could emulate it, but if you don't have them, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to put a guy in a role and let him go.
All right, now I got the clock management going. We got to go. Thanks as always. We'll see you. What do we have? What do we have coming up? That's an away game, so I won't see you over the weekend.
Yeah.
And then San Francisco, right?
And then San Francisco.
You're going to travel.
Monday night.
All right, Monday night in San Francisco. That'll do it for us. Thanks to Dan-labbe, cleveland.com, and the Plain Dealer. I'll see you on Monday night. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.